Hello, this is Kodo. Welcome back to Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered, where last time we braved the end to get some palladium, iridium, and platinum ores. And then we started working on our next endeavor. So what we're doing next is we're going to be looking at building the substation. So I've prepared a bunch of the materials for the substation. There's still a few things I need to finish making. And I did go and get my miner out of the end. I did notice that it actually stops drawing power when it was done. So like I saw it no longer drawing power, and I was like, okay, it must be done. So I just went over it to it and grabbed it and got the heck out. It keeps its inventory when you break it, so like it wasn't that hard to get it. But got all the ores back, put more to process down here. In fact, there's just like an obscene amount of ores over here waiting to process all this platinum. All of this palladium right now that's macerating. Some good stuff though, because all this palladium is giving us well, palladium. And then the iridium gives us, I bet, iridium? Yep, iridium. Unfortunately, none of this gives us osmium, so we're still gonna have to go and do the osmium flatline steps, because I don't know where else we're gonna get osmium, frankly, and we need osmium for our next space endeavors here. We need to make the Aurelia. Aurelia artifact to get to Aurelia, and that needs osmiridium. Also needs red matter, but that's a little bit less of a concern. 10k life essence for red matter might be a little bit of a concern, though. We'll see when we start making it. Anyways, I also did a slight change to our EBF a little bit. So this setup on top that directly pushes into a circuit 2 and a fluid hatch, that is the same, but what I did down here is I put an interface with the program circuit card, because some of these recipes use program circuit 1 and some of them do not use a program circuit. For example, the phosphorus doped wafer. This is silicone dust, phosphorus, gallium arsenate, and nitrogen, and that will turn into the silicon buell. But if we put the silicon in there with circuit 1, it can turn into a hot silicon, and if we put it with circuit 2, it can either turn into a regular silicon buell, or it could also turn into nothing else. That's it. But yeah, we basically needed a way to put the silicon in there so it wouldn't collide. So that was the fix here. And because some of these recipes now use fluid, I moved anything down here that basically used fluid but didn't use program circuit 2. I moved it down here, and this is what's called a phantom paste. This is basically a proxy to that block up there. So you see this block has 800 or 8.1 thousand helium in it, and this tank has 8,000. That now has 8,000. So it's a mirror of that tank up there. So it pushes the program circuit configuration and the item into the bus, and then it pushes the fluid in there if there is a fluid. All right, so that was the change I did there. And yeah, that's pretty much all we did. So let's talk about our substation. So I did make the substation controller. I made a bunch of substation casings, and then I made a bunch of Lapatronic, IV Lapatronic capacitors. So, and also the laminated glass. So this is almost everything we need for the multi-block. The only thing I did not finish making was the input and output energy hatches. So let's get cracking on those. First order of business is going to be, let's see, energy hatch. So I did go ahead and automate IV energy hatch, but we have to scale it up to be high enough amperage. So we're gonna be doing a 4x large combustion engine setup. Oh yeah, also I requested this stuff for all of our combustion engines, so here they are. Don't need this in here though. So yeah, here are the things we need for the large combustion engine. We don't need the mufflers either. I guess I should probably go in there and edit that in case we ever do make another pair of these. but no matter. So we need to make the higher tier version of the IV energy hatches and the dynamos. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So this is a pretty straightforward recipe. Needs no fluid and it goes into an EV assembler. So stick it over here. So what do we have so far? We have nothing. Okay, so let's do the energy hatch first. So next step is we got to do this. And we are also going to need to do these two recipes. Tungsten X4, can we do that already? Yeah, we can do tungsten X4. So we're going to need to do tungsten X8 now. And we're going to need to do a extreme voltage transformer. Pretty easy there. Oh, we're going to need this niobium titanium cable. Hopefully we can make that. Because if not, we're going to be like stuck in our tracks right here. Niobium. Let's do this one step at a time. So we got that one. Let's make our 8X wire. All right, so now let's do our niobium cable. Assembler. That can just go in regular assembler, regular assembler, and then the 16 amp one, 16 amp trans energy hatch rather, that has to go in EV as well. So stick that back there. All right, we have 4 amp, we have 16 amp. Now we just need 64 amp. But let's go ahead and let's bookmark that and come back to it in a second. So 64 amp. Here we go. Here's our 64 amp substation energy hatch. So that's what we need to make next. But we need to get this niobium titanium stuff made first. So we're going to need a wire. Let's go ahead and make the wire. Oh, hold on, actually, though. Do we need niobium titanium for this? We need 8X cable. Ooh, this is gonna be a fun recipe to do. Okay. Really quickly looking at this again. Okay, that's a simple one. All right, so I'll get back to it in a second. This is gonna be fine though. Okay, so let's do the wire mill recipe. So wire mill, and then niobium titanium. We do want it in 1X. We'll probably be using it mostly in 1X, but let's go ahead and do the EBF recipe for that. I'm guessing it uses a fluid. Sure does. It's an argon metal, so niobium titanium ingot. I can't really see the item up here, so I'm just like typing in. Hopefully it becomes the last item left. EBF circuit 2 is where that one goes. All right, so we got that taken care of. Oh, we need the dust actually though. So hold on one second. How do you make the dust here? Need to put it in our mixer, circuit 1. That's an IV mixer, did it say? Ew. We don't have an IV mixer. That's all right. Let's make the IV mixer then. So one of these guys. Luckily we have the stuff here. I don't want to use my laminated glass there. Here, let me put my stuff that I have for the multi-block away. All right, go ahead and request everything you need there. I set a big order of tungsten steel to go down here, so that's just been cracking while I've just been idling and whatnot in the background. I don't imagine this should take very long to make. What is it doing? Oh, the glass is pretty slow to make, I see. And speed it up a little bit, but not too much. There's no battery in there, so. Alright, it's on the last step. There we go. Alright. And there we go. There's our elite mixer. I'm just gonna hook it up here. Well, do I want to hook it up there? Do I have another mixer somewhere else? I do have another mixer down here, but that's not really doesn't really have a good spot to get access to power up here because the IV power is running off of the flux point at the moment, kind of spaghettiing the power at the moment because this setup with these EV machines is very temporary. Um, I'm thinking, should I just make this all be IV right now? No, I don't think I want to do all of this IV right now, but I will go ahead and um, put this down here instead of the EV mixer. Here's what I can do. I can move this over very carefully, not to blow anything up. Gonna scoot this over here. And, whoop, not over there. One more tile over. Absolutely do not place the flux point on these wires. That will blow it up. Alright, let's destroy that wire, and then let's put our transformer right there. Okay, and then I'm going to hook the transformer back up. Oh, and I need to set it to 16 amps. Alright, 16 amp transformer going. And then I'm going to very carefully unhook that wire, and then I'm going to put a... what's it called here? What's our IV wire? It's stellar alloy, right? Yeah, stellar alloy cable, IV superconductor. All right, let's put this here. And I'm going to do this and this on that side. And then up here, I'm going to disconnect this guy. Move it down here. Oh, I forgot to put another, I should have put another stellar alloy there. So another stellar alloy up here. Alright, that's not going to reconnect, so I have to like actually break and replace it. Okay, there we go. So now we got a few places for IV power. And we just do our regular machine setup here, wrench it upwards, tell it to input from output side allowed, and then tell it to auto output. Okay. And then now we can do our niobium titanium recipe, which is already in my inventory. Good. All right, stick it in there, and that should be good to go now. So what else do we need for our 64 amp? Apparently I need the actual recipe for it. Here we go. Okay, so, wait, hold on. What is this craft in? Assembler. My bad. And that is like a regular EV assembler? Okay, EV. That's not too bad. Alright, what else do we need for this thing? So 64 amp. We need... Sorry, titanium dust? Actually, that would make sense. We don't really have titanium dust just like sitting around. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a maceration recipe for titanium dust. And then 64 amp, we also needed, let me just bookmark everything we need here. This, this, and this. Okay. Do I have PICs? I don't think I have PICs yet. Because I didn't have phosphorus wafers, because I was like, oh no, I'm about to run out of wafers. So I panicked and stopped using them. So let's make those wafers really quick, and then I'm going to grab my brown lens right here. Let's just make like a good 32 of them. That should quell our needs for a little while. I'm looking around seeing if there's a battery I can steal from somewhere else. Hey, autoclave, why do you even have a battery? Alright, that should mostly get through those. Now we can get HPIC. Do we have the cutting machine here with HPIC? We do not, so we need to cut the HPICs ourselves. So HPIC. I assume we're gonna need one for each of these, the dynamo and the... Wait, why would... What would we need it for, though? I'm a little confused what it needs the HPICs for. What do you need these for? One of those available. What else is this used for? Oh, it's used for the transformer. Okay, so we're gonna need like a few, so let's go ahead and craft like, I don't know, 4 of them I think is gonna be enough. Alright, so that's automated, that's automated. We got that. I don't know why I had that. Tungsten wire X16, stick that in there. We need some more pattern cards. Okay, and then now we got to do this unruly recipe for this transformer. This is also an IV transformer. Oh, lubricant. Uh-oh, we don't have that in our system like at all. I might just go steal it from our creosote setup. But okay. We're gonna need to make all of those, I think, and I think we need to make this transformer as well. And then what do we need for this transformer? Ooh, buddy. Okay, let's just do this one step at a time. So first of all, this requires fluid. Let me put it up here. This into our assembler, our up tier assembler here. All right. We need titanium niobium cable X8. So that's going to be up here with styrene butadiene. That's going to go in regular assembly. And then niobium titanium X8. Let's do... What do we use these cables for exactly? So we use some... I'm not entirely sure. Niobium titanium cable. Do we use these cables a lot? So the cables are used for LUV at tier 1. They're used in parallel control module. We'll probably want that. Just here and there they're used. Okay. Let's just go ahead and go all of the tiers of cables. So we're going to do 4X cables. So 4X cables here. And then we're going to do the 2X cables and the 1X cables. As opposed to like having them all in our wire mill and clogging up our wire mill. Okay, so those are done. Next item, niobium spring. That's metal bender. And metal bender's about to be out. We're about to need to make a new P2P for that one. We need to do the rods with the hammer. Whoop. Always allow substitution with the tools. And then this is just going to be lathe. Lathe for this. Assembler for this. This is like a bajillion recipes. Small tungsten spring. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the metal bender. Do we have tungsten rod already? Tungsten. We do have tungsten rods already, so that one we don't need to do. Alright, metal bender's full. If we need any more things bent, we're going to need to go make a new P2P setup for it. Would also be like nice to get a P2P, or not a P2P, a multi-block bending machine as well. Then I could just have like more interfaces on it, set up some parallels. Alright, there is 16X cable. That's going to go in the assembler. We need tungsten X16. So go ahead and do the ×8 cable. This one right there. Okay. I think that's all we needed for that. Let's keep going. Now the extreme transformer. So go ahead and put this in here, and then let's see which of these we do not have automated. So let's go for the 64 amp craft. Still need that, and lubricant we will grab. Let me go ahead and grab that now. We have a cell in here. Just gonna yoink all of this lubricant. Throw it in our fluid storage. Okay. Tungsten cable X16. I thought I got this one. Is it in my... Oh, it's in my inventory. Whoops. Okay. Assembler. So many dang things to automate here. Okay, so niobium 4X cable. We need to get this one. I have once again put it in the wrong grid. Here we go. Do we know niobium 4X wires? I think I taught it that, right? So we should be good on this now. Just the HPICs? Okay, there we go. So HPIC. We need 2 of these for each side, so let me go ahead and just throw them all up here. It would be nice if I had an IV battery. Maybe I'll make one really quick. So IV battery is, they're called Lapatronic energy orbs. Yeah, let me go ahead and make one of these real quick. And that is like kind of a lot of items it has to go through. To make these Lapatronic capacitors, I had to make 18 of those. And of course I didn't make them by hand, but this is how much stuff it took. Freaking 200 of all of these dusts, 500 gold, a bunch of black steel. Look at all this lapis. 900 lapis to make 2,000 2,000 Lapitron dust, a bunch of Lapitron crystals themselves, 144 Lapitron crystals because you have to turn them into these engraved crystals to actually make these energy clusters. But yeah, that was a long craft that was going for a while. And the craft was so big I couldn't even request it in one go, so I came down here and I upgraded our crafting storages here. So these crafting storages now have a 64K crafting storage on all of them, and they can handle larger recipes here. So what are we currently doing here? Lapitron dust, it looks like. How's our actual power situation? EBF's still running? Oh no, they're not still running. They just started running for the stuff, right? The stuff that they're doing. Really draining our power. Our amperage output is kind of bottlenecking us in a handful of places, just because we cannot output enough amps to supply all of our machines. We only have 4 IV amps to play with, and our EBFs down there and vacuum freezer, we're just using 3 of them, so these machines got like choked out by that. I think in theory I can accelerate this. Okay, that was a maybe unwise theory to test, but it did work. I can accelerate that one too. Ooh, that was not a good theory to test. Okay. Can I accelerate my battery buffer to make it output power faster? I think that doesn't work. Maybe it does work. Oh no, this machine stopped. Never mind. I don't think it works. Alright. What all is going on in the crafting? Still like a bajillion of these Lapitron crystals. It needs so many. Oh, and also I forgot to put in the... You need a sapphire lens in here for this. Go ahead and speed that up. We can put our brown lens away. Do we need any more of those? I want to put my Skystone lens back in there. Still need 4 more of them, huh? Jeez. at this point, it's kind of like, why am I bothering? The thing I made the battery for is already gone, but it's just going to be a useful battery to have, so I would like to have that battery on hand for various uses. So that goes in here. The Lapitron crystals go in there. It's cracking up here again. Yep. That should be the last crystal, so we're about to move forward here. And it's crafting the cluster itself. That I can also accelerate. Okay, that is done. Let me go ahead and plug it in. And then I need to step away. My dogs are suddenly decided it is time for them to make noise or get fed. So I'm going to go do the get fed part. Be right back. Okay, with that, please don't mind the crunching in the back. We got our Lapitron energy orb going now. Go ahead and put this back in there. Okay, and why did I make this? I don't know, just have it, right? Good job, me. We have it now. All right. Clean up some junk in here. Let's do our 64 amp substation energy hatch. Allegedly, we can make all of this, so here we go. There's actually quite a lot of wires in here. It's going to take a while just doing, like, the wires. Has to do a few things in the EBF. That's not too bad. Some iridium, though. That's probably the most expensive part. Needs 4 iridium ingots. I mean, power-wise, it's the most expensive part. How's our power down here? It's going, surely, certainly. So there's the first pair of iridium ingots done, and then it's going to need to do one more pair, yeah. In the meantime, let's make our... That was our energy hatch. We also got to do the dynamo hatch. So let's go ahead and do the 64 amp dynamo hatch. The kind of counter to that. Though I don't think we're going to need to make most of the stuff again. So... We have dynamo, we have 4 amp dynamo, so we need to do the 16 amp dynamo still. Okay, and if we're lucky, we shouldn't have to automate any more recipes on top of this one. Like, that should be all of them. So, IV dynamo. We are crafting the energy hatch, right? Yeah, just to double check. Okay. So, we could go ahead and craft this one, but... if I wait, the items that are kind of available to both, like the ones that it's overcrafting, well, what is it going to be overcrafting, to be honest? Probably not much. Like the niobium spring, maybe. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and chill for a bit, because it's not really going to be able to craft any faster if I start it now. So we're just going to chill while that crafts. Be back in a bit once it's done, I guess. Alright, well, I am back, and, sorry about that, I had to respond to someone. Anyways, I noticed there was a messed up recipe in here. Unfortunately, I did the niobium titanium wire, of course, in the recipe grid without the fluid, so... So we need the 1x niobium titanium cable. There it is. And we need to redo this one with the fluid, please. Okay. And then we are just going to cancel the craft. I'm going to stick that back into the assembler. I don't know why I started scrolling like I was going to find it. That is the wrong assembler. Here we go, this one. Okay, and then we should be able to craft them, but I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to make a quick thing here. I'm just going to make a dummy thing to make both of these 64 amp IV duders. Energy hatch and dynamo hatch. Yep, go ahead, and I'm just going to stick that in here. Let me get a pattern card really quick. pattern card. Alright, and then I'm just going to request a prospector, which is actually those 2 items. And that's going to give us the 2 items we need. And it's going to kind of overlap any kind of needed items into one, so it's not overcrafting things. So like that niobium spring, it shouldn't be making another one, or tungsten spring, whatever it was. Like it should have it in here somewhere. Yeah, there. See it is. See, there it is. All right, we gotta wait again because some ingots gotta cook up, and they cook up slow. So I'll be back once those are done. All right, it's been a couple minutes, and we should be getting close to done here. It's just crafting the last couple transformers. How are those going? And we can speed it up because we got the battery in here. Let's go. That's why we made it, right? Oh, it's done. Okay, well, that was anticlimactic. I didn't even really need the battery. Okay, we got our multi-block. Time to put it together. So let's go ahead. Let's do our substation first. So our substation is... it's going to be 5 by 5, right? Yeah, it's 5 by 5, so we can stick it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can fill this existing space with it. Kind of worried about disconnecting our power grid while we're still doing that. How about let's see, let's scoot this over. Oh gosh. Did you know my inventory is full? Okay, get the buffer, stick it right here. Get all of these crystals back in here. I'm not going to worry about this controller for now. But let's get our input back on here. And then let's get our weird output loop back on here as well. Okay, so that is set back up. Just going to stick this over here for now. So this is going to run nonstop even if our power fails, but that's okay because we're imminently going to replace this, and then we are going to not be using them anymore. So all right, so 5 by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could just have it directly against the back here, but I think I'd like a space. If anything, we're probably going to eventually move our coke ovens here, so I'm just going to go ahead and build it with the assumption that we are eventually moving our coke ovens. All right, so let's go ahead and start building this thing. As far as I know, it is 2 layers of the substation casings, and then the rest is glass and batteries. And the bottom layer is... Okay, so that's what a battery layer looks like. And then the top layer, that's another battery layer, and then the top layer is just flat. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this together. The controller goes in the middle of the bottom. And then the substation casings have to go anywhere on the actual block, right? They can't, yeah, so they can't replace the glass. They have to go replace the casings. So let's do our input, like, over here would probably be good. So substation, dynamo hatch. We need the energy hatch. Let's put the energy hatch, like, right here. And then we're going to put the dynamo hatch. I'm going to put the dynamo, like, here facing this way. All right, and then let's just fill the rest up. All right, and then go ahead and put our capacitors down. All right, and then finally we are going to put our glass down. Do we get this glass back if we break it? We do, okay. I was like, I didn't check, so I needed to do it again to verify.
hands.
Alright, there we go. Perfect amount of blocks. Is our moldy block complete, though, is the question. Structure formed. Okay, passive drain, 150 EU per tick, just like we estimated. Alright. Nice. Alright, let's hook it up, I guess. No reason to have this thing running over here anymore. Let's just go ahead and... Oh, but I only have one input hatch, so I can't just drain these batteries, like, in an easy manner. Well, let's go ahead and fill these batteries up so they kind of stack. Or at least the game thinks they're, like, the same item. And then we are going to... Yeah, there we go. Game thinks those are all the same item now. We're going to go ahead and break this guy. And we're going to connect our energy hatch right there. There we go. We are getting average EU in of 32.768 and average EU... Wait, how are we getting average EU out? Oh, it's charging the dynamo here. Okay, so the dynamo has a buffer there that is charging up. Let's go ahead and ooh, we're also gonna need a energy hatch for our output buffer here to still function properly. Let me get rid of these batteries first real quick. Oh right. We don't have power. Yes, I would like to hook power back up first and foremost. There we go. Alright, I'm not sure what the CLL caught an exception rendering a block is for. Hopefully we don't keep seeing that, though. I would hate if there's some kind of visual glitch with the substation and it doesn't actually, like, work because of some visual glitch. But yeah, this doesn't actually show terribly much. It should just kind of be doing stuff here. So there's the average input out, and it is taking the battery from the dynamo currently. I think our dynamo should be pretty much saturated. And it's going to start charging here momentarily, as soon as it's got enough enough power out of here. But yeah, we now have 64 amps of IB power available to us, so that's crazy. That's just a crazy amount of power. There we go. All right, now it's charging internally. So at this rate, it's telling us it's going to take 40 hours to fill. Which is fine, because we're actually not going to be using these generators. It is time to upgrade our generators. So let's go and combustion engine. So we are going to need... Oh, hold on one second. Okay, one slight different thing we're going to need is right now we have oxygen gas, and I forgot to check that this uses the same thing. Spoiler, it does not. It uses liquid oxygen instead of oxygen gas. So we're going to have to make some liquid oxygen as well before we can convert our generators. And I'm thinking probably just have a dedicated... How do you make liquid oxygen again? So here's liquid oxygen. Okay, we're not messing with the condensation and stuff. Liquid oxygen is a vacuum freezer recipe. And it takes EV power, takes 12 seconds to make 1,000. And we are going to be needing... How much are we going to be needing? We're going to be needing 80 per second times 4. So we're going to need 240 per second. No, not 240. 320 per second. It's actually kind of a lot. So 320 per second. Let's see. What does this recipe produce, I guess, would probably be the best thing to calculate. So this produces 1,000 divided by 12. It produces 83. So to get to 32 from this, or 320, we would need to have 3.84 vacuum freezers at this speed. Or we can have 2 at IV. 2 at IV, huh? Okay, let's do 2 vacuum freezers at IV. Or we could do, why don't we just do 4? 4 vacuum freezers at HV. It's not like they're super expensive to make. They're just like, what, aluminum? Not HV, EV. Especially because if we do 2, just because we don't want to build 4 of them, we're going to be using double the power for the same amount of oxygen. So, alright. Vacuum freezer. Let's just go ahead and request that. We're going to need 4 of those. Just go ahead and start those items cooking. That is quite a lot of things it needs to make there. Not too much in the EBF. This alloys are going to be what kind of takes the long time here. So while those are going, let's also do the casings. So for our casing, we use these frostproof aluminum casings. Let's go ahead and automate those. Give me the wrench. And then remind me the vacuum freezer is hollow, correct? Yes, the vacuum freezer is hollow. How many energy hatches do we have? You know what? I'm just gonna take the HV energy hatches because we have a whole lot of them. So for all of these, we're going to need 16 amps of HV power, which means I'm probably just going to use a diode for this. So we'll use a HV diode, which we do have. And then we are going to need signal cables. Oh no, we're going to use TerraSteel cables because signal cables 8 amps. Okay, we're going to need like an input hatch and a output hatch. We can just use a regular input hatch and a regular output hatch. We only need 1 as well, so... And then we need all of our frostproof machine casings, so... How many are we going to need? So let's look at a multi-block preview really quick. So the multi-block uses, let's see, it uses 9. This might be hard to calculate the shared sides here. Let's just say 18 times 4. So 18 times 4 is going to be... 18 times 4 is 9 times 8, 72. Okay, so frost-proof machine casings. Let's make 65 of them because we already have 7. Alright, those should be fairly quick to craft. If anything, the iron rods, or the aluminum rods here are going to take the longest. Aluminum plates are very fast to bend, thankfully. Right, this is just doing all the alloys over here. They are slow, as I noted. Alright, frostproof machine casings are done. I'll just go ahead and go down and start setting it up while the controllers kind of chill. No pun intended. Okay, so we are going to do our array of vacuum freezers here. I have made it too wide. There we go. The middle back is going to be an output hatch, because this is going to be one of the points that are shared between all the blocks. This is going to be an input hatch over here. And now we just kind of fill in the rest of this. So stick that up there. Figuring out where I want to have the power running. Energy hatches cannot be shared, or, well, they can be, but it's going to cause some jankiness, so I don't want to mess with that. Thinking like the energy hatches there, and here would probably be good. Okay, so our energy hatches will go in those spaces. Let's go ahead and hook those up. Let's wire it up. Come on. Just rewire that one entirely. Alright, and these are going to go to the central spot, like up here. Diode, point it, actually, because I crave a little bit of symmetry, let me put my diode up there so that I can point it this way. Get it to, oh, where's my mallet? Here it is, 16 amps. And we're going to hook everything up now. Alright, connect. Missing a wire there, whoops. Alright, beautiful. Now we just put our flux point there. And turn it on. Alright, these should all be getting EU power now, or yeah, HV power. They are indeed all filled up with power. Love to see it. Okay, so last thing, we just need our controllers. Looks like I had 7 extra frostproof casings. That's pretty close. How are we doing here? Soldering alloy. What's our issue with soldering alloy? Oh, it looks like our thing is stuck. Let's just reset the interfaces. These are going to take a second because it's still doing the alloys. It's on one of the vacuum freezers, though. Okay, we can go ahead and move on to the next step, which is we need to get oxygen in, and we also need to stop putting oxygen in here. So where are we putting oxygen in there from again? I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay, so let's take these GPSs out. And can I reset them? Actually, I don't want to reset them. I want to point them back at the new multi-block. So let me take those GPSs out. Do we have a fluid transfer node? We do. Nice. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make another one. Alright, so GPS is now going to be from oxygen into the input of our vacuum freezer. So you should start getting the... It was this one, right? You should start getting oxygen now. Great. And then we're going to have our output hooked up here. And these outputs are going to go to these hatches over here. And I don't care that there's oxygen in here. Like, I can come take the oxygen out later if I really want, but it's only like 100 buckets of oxygen. Like, what's the big deal, right? Alright, speed that up. What is going on here? Just a failed recipe chilling there? I don't think we're crafting that. That must have been a leftover from a previous recipe that I forgot to clean up. Alright, these are going to be done imminently. Get our frostproof machine casings. Not frostproof. Vacuum freezers. Let's get our combustion engines. Alright, hook them up. Alright, there we go. Oxygen gas is going away. Liquid oxygen should be coming into here. This recipe does take a second. Oh, hold on. What's the issue here? Power? This actually needs to be an above priority node here, so let me juice it up to have enough power to deliver to all of these. I'm not actually sure where the power would be going here. Could also be that I don't have the little power loop set up and it's not able to output as much as it should be. Because, yeah, that one's running, that one's running, that one's running, that one's running. Okay, they're all running. All right, and we have a little bit of liquid oxygen in all of our hatches now. Nice. Okay, great. So next step is to basically tear apart the structural parts of this multi-block and then rebuild it all with the new ones. Or, you know what? I could probably just use the exchanging gadget now that I think about it. Yeah, let's try to do that. Exchange, or I should have one in my bag, right? Yep, we have an exchanging gadget. So what is this set to? Set to surface? I don't really want it to do like a surface though. I want it to do like the whole thing though, is the thing. Like, yeah, I guess I can do that with this because all of these are on the same layer, but the other blocks, yeah. So if I go ahead and I can paste this here. Loop. Now, whoa. Now the multi-block becomes very confused as to why suddenly the intakes have been changed. Let's go ahead and change this. We are not going to need to change our cable, so the cable can stay. Going to vein mine the structural bits of this. Not going to vein mine those because they might vein mine things I don't want vein mined. Alright. Replace the inside of the... Whoops. The inside. One thing I thought is that we could actually have our input hatch here in the middle, and all 4 blocks would share it. But, like, I already... Or not in the middle, because the middle has to be, like, a structural block, right? But, like, in this middle wall here, and then 2 of them could share it, and then we could just have a pair. But I was like, nah, that's gonna be, like, some sort of spaghetti if I need to, like, go in there and look at it for some reason, so I opted not to do that, after all. Okay, finish filling the inside of these guys. Oop, not where I wanted to put that one. Also didn't mean to make a hole in the ceiling. That's okay, we will never know it's there. These need to be our dynamo hatches, okay? Dynamos. Alright, almost done here. Alright, just 6 more, and here's where they go. Alright, so that's all of the controller bits. Now, what are these set to again here? So there's machine controllers on these. And I just want to confirm what they're set to. Can't see because the thing is in the way. Here, let me just move that bit. So this is set to normal 1. Okay, so normal 1 is what we want those set up as when I put those back. Alright, put those back. Make sure they're all set to normal 1, normal 1. Okay, and then hook the cables back up, which I'm going to have to do manually, of course, because why did that deploy in my face? Because this doesn't like to connect to blocks for some reason. Alright, and this was output on red on all of these. Output red, and output red. Okay, so those are set back up to be able to turn them off, and look at this crazy power we're generating now. We are using liquid oxygen up. We're using it quite quickly, so hopefully you guys are running as fast as you need to be running. And let's look at our power income now. Yep, average EU in 131,000 EU per tick. Yep, that's some good stuff. Now our time to fill is 3 hours instead of what was it before? Like 40? Alright, and let's do our energy control cover here. So like before, we're gonna have a flip-flop here. We're going to use percentages, and we're just going to use like 95 and probably 99 would be fine. So redstone output, we want this to output inverted because we want to turn off the machines when we are in that range. So let's go in here. Let's stick our controller, base it up there. All right, there we go. So that will shut off. That should shut off our machines once the battery is full over here. It's going to take a good long while to fill them up, though. Say that much. And then one more thing we need to do. We need to add a kind of this loop input system so that what's it called? The flux point here will continue to work even if there's no low amperage destinations for the power to go to. So let's go ahead and make one more energy hatch. Just a regular old IV energy hatch. Oh, let me guess. Nope. HPIC. Of course. I should have guessed. Yeah, our vacuum freezers are working nicely here. These barely produce enough liquid oxygen to fill these up, so it's going to actually be a little bit of like fighting this the generators for this hatch to fill up, but the hatch will eventually fill up. Let me just go ahead and take the oxygen out of these hatches. So oxygen gas, come with me. Like, is oxygen like a valuable commodity? I guess if you're trying to breathe, sure, but for the purposes of this multi-block, not really. Where's our oxygen tank here? See, like, look, oxygen's still full, basically, even though we're supplying so much over there. Just go ahead and turn it off. Alright, and then we get an HPIC wafer. Gonna borrow the battery really quick. This is why we made it. Yoink. Alright, and then let's do our energy hatch. IV energy hatch. I don't know why I'm like staring at this machine, like waiting for it to do something. What are we cooking down here? What is the rock cooking tonight? It looks like iridium based on the cook time. Alright, this should be done momentarily. Yep, just iridium. Oh, it's still got to do the voltage coils. Never mind, it's going to take like a second. But it's a second we can accelerate. There we go. And I glitched the sound on that machine. Love that. Alright, so since this doesn't really have a like an off mode, I just need to kind of sneak this energy hatch in here with as little downtime as possible. There we go. Alright, we get to keep our power. I didn't like break it or anything. Alright, and then we are going to set our loop guy back up here. We are going to set our loop here to have a transfer limit. This transfer limit's an EU per tick, and we want it to just constantly be transferring 1 amp of power. So we're going to do that times 4. So 32768. Okay. Alright, that is looking good. Our loop output is picking up some of the energy. We can go and we can look and see what our total in is. So we can ignore 8,000 of our in and out, because 8,000 of our in and out is just going to this loop over here. So we can see a general idea of what our power consumption is now. We're making 130k and using like 20k right now. What we're using 20k for, I have no actual idea. A little confused, actually. Maybe I should go look around to see what we're using 20k for. So these are using 8k. This one is using a... Oop, okay, I didn't mean to take that much EU into the buffer. This one is using a pretty consistent 750. That's actually kind of low. Why is this using so little? Oh, never mind. This is not RF protect. That's EU protect. Okay, so that's using another almost 3,000. So these are using 11k by themselves. Is ore processing using a lot? About 1,000 to 2,000. And then chemistry using a lot. Chemistry is using very little. Okay. It's using like 1 amp of HV on and off. So about 16k output actually sounds right. And yeah, that is going to be a while to fill up this energy hatch, but once it's filled, what does this do? Oh, that blocks input and output. Okay, don't do that, jeez. We definitely don't want that. Like, if I turn this off, right, does it keep receiving power? Okay, so it's sending from the dynamo's buffer, which is pretty big. And then, oh, those hatches are full. Whoops. And actually, those hatches cannot output power faster than they are full. So those hatches are just going to stay full until the machine turns off. Okay, well, that's okay. And our liquid oxygen is slowly going up. Yeah, this was like 15, 16 last time I looked. It's almost 17 now, so slowly but surely getting up there. Alright, that's going to do it for our new power storage system and our new power distribution grid. It is now very strong. Next time between episodes, I'm probably just going to go around and like upgrade the crap out of a bunch of our machines. Like, we're going to upgrade this to LUV power. We're going to put 2 IV energy hatches up here. And then same for the vacuum freezer. So that's going to be running much more quickly, even more quickly now. Osmiridium, I think, took LUV power. Yeah, so that's what we need for the Osmiridium. I might also go down to our oil fuel processing line down there and upgrade some of these. Maybe this distillation tower, because this one is running a lot. So if we double the speed at which this runs, that's just going to produce a crazy amount of diesel. However, we're kind of... I mean, you can see how fast we're losing diesel now. Like, this is how fast we're burning it. So we are definitely using diesel faster than we're burning it, but are worth noting that our generator is not currently full of power. So once our generator is full of power, this is going to be back to whatever equilibrium. Oil still being provided from somewhere. Alright, I'm pretty pleased with this setup. I mean, it's not the cleanest work, but it is going to do the job for us. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. Next time, and I might also come over here and like just upgrade all of these machines next time. To like move these LUV machines I have over here, replace all of the HV machines with them. So our entire system of machines will be LUV, except maybe not all of them. I'll think about it. Like, I'm thinking about, like, are we gonna need a mixer, LUV mixer? That's not LUV, sorry. I keep saying LUV. I mean IV. Are we going to need like 3 IV mixers and then 3 IV assemblers? Well, 3 IV assemblers would probably be good, but I'm not sure about 3 IV mixers. I'm not sure about the wire mills. If we put IV recipes in there, we probably are going to justifiably need to scale up the recipe quantities because it's just going to be too slow, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. And apparently I'm going to just glide with my head into the wall. See ya!